everyone. Welcome to Financially Speaking with the Finlit Project Season 2. We are here at episode 2 and excited to bring to you a fascinating guest who hails from the world of finance in India, Harish Menon. Harish is a SEBI Registered Investment Advisor. He's a CA by profession, and he's also the founder and CEO of H Zone Capital, an investment advisory firm. He's also the head of investments at H Zone Investment Ventures. Today, we are going to tickle Harish's brain and find out more about his role as a SEBI registered investment advisor, the regulations around it, the clients that he has, and how he helps people make better financial decisions. While our work is focused on enabling financial literacy, we also realize that even after people are aware of a few fundamentals, they still need guidance with regards to their portfolios. They still need guidance with regards to their goal plannings. So how Harish facilitates that, how does he use quant in his models, we are going to find out more. Thank you so much, Harish, for agreeing to speak with us, and welcome to Financially Speaking with the Finlit Project.
Thank you, Neha, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be involved in this podcast.
So, Harish, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, an introduction, and then Awar will take over?
So it's a conventional start. I was doing chartered accountancy, which exposed me to areas like taxation, auditing, accounting, and also finance. Unlike a lot of chartered accountants, I did not like taxation and auditing. The only thing which was left was finance. My articleship experience exposed me to financial markets. I started off from fixed income. So unlike a lot of people who actually know about stock markets more, I was exposed to more of fixed income and currency. Started to dig deeper into it, decided to do internship in that area. And after I cleared my CA, also thankfully got opportunities in research and trading for various organizations. It's a very unconventional area for a CA to be in, but for me, it's always been financial markets right from when I started. The corporate world works in ways which I was not accustomed to. So I thought it is better to be on my own. So very soon after started to work, I quit my job, and it was, I think, 2008 February when I quit. And it's been about 13 and a half years where I have tried a lot of different things while being on my own, created a lot of entities, worked with a lot of people. And it is extremely exciting to be on your own and kind of give shape to many, many ideas which may not be possible in a job. So one of the things is, as you said in the introduction, I'm into investment advisory, which somehow is misunderstood in a lot of ways in India. The second thing which I do is invest a lot in startups. That is the H Zone Investment Ventures into. So we guide startups to mentor them, and if required, we fund them also. I'm a part of certain accelerator groups. And the third thing which brings, I think, both of us in commonality is the urge to spread financial education. So I do a lot of trainings and courses surrounding financial markets and educate everybody on that. So it's a wonderful thing that even your Finlit project is doing in India. So yeah, that's 2 bits about me.
Good evening, sir. So that was wonderful. I'm Mohammad Ever, and I welcome you on behalf of the Pulley project. Could you tell us something about your journey as a SEBI investment advisor? Because it is an up and coming lucrative career in India, something which a lot of us look forward to, and the role it helps you play in financial planning.
Right. So when I went on my own, one of the first things which I did was do my financial planning, because I wanted to be sure whether my money will last if I don't work for a few years, what is the financial status I was in, and so on and so forth. When I did that, I realized that a lot of people probably would need to do the same thing. Also, coming from a financial market background, I knew about products, I knew about what investment options we have. The initial advisory was always, as usual, with family and friends. The moment they realize that I have some knowledge about products, they will come and ask which mutual fund to invest into, which stock is good and all that. So it typically was a start with family and friends, where I was not really looking at it as a career option. I was very much involved in what is called as corporate trainings at that point in time. So I would train various corporate employees on financial market topics. And invariably, many of them would think of you as a subject matter expert and say, how should we invest and all that. So the questions initially was all about how to invest. Later on, I also realized that people don't think investment as, they think of investment as a separate thing. They don't realize that investment is just one part of their overall financial planning. So while India is now knowing a lot about investments, I think they're still new to the concept of financial planning. People are chasing returns, people are chasing products, people are chasing newer ways of investing money, which is not a bad thing. So from savings, they're investing, but there is no structure. They are not planning it the way it should be. So I started working on that area, not in a very aggressive way. The second thing which I saw in the industry, even while I was training, was there was a lot of mis-selling of products that was happening. So people who need not buy ULIPs were sold ULIPs. People who should not have had risky structured products were sold structured products without informing about the risk. And I realized that the industry works on the basis of sales, commissions, and distribution income. So a lot of product sellers were selling it because they were getting income out of it. Now, that's one way of earning revenue, but somewhere, obviously not applicable to all, but for many, it was not in line with what the client wanted. So client might not need a product, but that was being pushed or sold in one way or the other. So I thought that is not a good way of distribution. So in 2010, when I actually started charging fees for my financial planning, I told my clients that I will keep your interest in mind, but for that you need to remunerate me. So even before the concept of RIA came in the SEBI purview, I was charging fees from my client. I remember it used to be 10,000 rupees per annum to do their financial planning and tell them where to invest. And the client would be asking me, why should I pay you? Because it's free. I can just go into some website and get information. I said, yes, but not all products are good for you. So you still need a filter. You still need somebody to tell you what is applicable to you. It's like going to a supermarket. You don't buy everything that you see there. You know your requirement and you will only buy that. So if you're vegetarian, you will not go to the meat section. Same way, if you don't want to buy equity, why are you getting into that? It's not needed. So I started charging fees. From that day till today, in 11 years also, the reluctance to pay fees is very high. The industry has moved in a lot of ways, but the proportion of clients who want to pay fees, yes, has gone up, but not substantially enough that all RIAs will be able to survive out of that. After about 3 years, SEBI came out with this concept of Registered Investment Advisor, which is a very, very famous concept globally. The concept of charging for investment advisory is very, very famous in developed markets. SEBI, as you are aware, in many cases, do adopt certain best practice in products, in markets, as well as in practice. So 2013, SEBI came out with these guidelines. Initially, it was very vague in terms of what were the qualifications needed, etc. I decided in 2015 to go and register myself. It did not help in any way because people did not know there was a concept of registered investment advisor. They thought ye mutual fund bechne ko aaya hai, yeah, he's an insurance agent and he will give me some forms and all that. So a degree is, or a certification or a registration is useful when everybody knows about it. Otherwise, what is the point? Suppose nobody knew there was a course called CFA and you say I'm a CFA. Others will be like, हाँ मतलब क्या है? What is it? So things were as bleak as that at that point in time. One of the most important aspects of my fee-only journey was there was only regular plan in mutual funds at that point in time, which means that there would be a mandatory commission I will get from mutual funds, even if I did not want it. So I am charging fees from clients. So technically, I should only be charging that. But there was no concept. I would only invest in what is called as a normal mutual fund. Even if I don't want, I need to have a ARN, what is called as an AMFI registration number, and you would get commission out of that. So it was like a dual income. Some clients who knew how it works, they would question me, why are you charging me as well as earning from the mutual fund? I tried telling mutual funds don't pay me, but there was no concept like that. They will transfer the commission to your bank account irrespective of anything. So once the direct plan concept came in mutual funds. I think it was 2015 or 2016. I don't remember exactly. That is when suddenly that urge of change in expense ratio, there is a difference, there is a savings, that came up in a big way, which helped somebody like me who was anyways convinced that I will only charge fee from the client. What I started as 10,000 has gone up, but it's not like every client likes to pay. There is still a difference between paying commission indirectly versus writing a check and giving it to the advisor upfront. There's a big difference in the psychology of the client, which we are trying to break and trying to educate, but it is an ongoing journey. So I think at least for some time, MFDs will have easier income than RIAs, even if the jobs they're doing is more or less same.
Yes, sir. So that is quite a journey, and I'm sure it is going to give a lot of insights to our viewers. Sir, my next question is along similar lines. How do you think India can promote financial literacy to embrace adequate financial behavior?
I think it has to start from very basic level, to be honest. I think it has to start from school level. I don't know whether school curriculum has financial planning and basics of money, but it should. If not in school, at least at high school level or maybe early graduation level, you should have. People learn a lot about jobs and careers, but no matter which field you go into, you will earn money. I mean, that's the end objective, right? I mean, whether you want to be a doctor or a CA, you want to earn money, but what to do with that money and how to manage it is also a very important thing. So it starts from basic level. So Finlit project is doing a wonderful job in that area, I'm aware of. Same way, there are many organizations and people who are also now working in that space. But I think it has to be a part of the formal education of learning about finances. Some informed parents are teaching their kids about it at the right age. Obviously, I don't have kids, but if I had one, I would have told him at the right stage or her at the right stage that start saving, don't use debt initially, and so on and so forth. One of the basic things that financially we say from a planning point of view is don't buy a house too early because it eats into your cash flow is not taught at a basic level. In fact, it is contradictory to the society logic that having a house means you're settled. Otherwise, you are not settled in India. Living on rent is a bad concept in India, society-wise, but I think economically it makes a lot of sense, at least till you generate some wealth. So these things, I think, should be imbibed at a very basic level. SEBI is doing a lot. There is an investor education fund which has come up. Mutual funds are trying to do a lot, but I still see a lot of product pushing happening. I still see a lot of invest in mutual fund as a theme rather than why invest in mutual fund. Do you need mutual fund? Have you planned enough? Have you saved enough? Will these mutual funds help you after you retire? All that thing is not taken care of. So there are books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which explains this beautifully, but unfortunately, we don't really look at it at the right age. And by the time people look at it, sometimes it is too late in many of the clients' cases. I have had so many clients who come to us and say, now I want to do financial planning. And then we realize that some of the decisions could have been a little different if you would have come 10 years earlier. So the need for financial planning in India comes usually after children have reached 10 or 12 years of age. The biggest motivation towards financial planning in India has come from higher education fees of children. If the higher education fees of children would not have been a pain in many middle class or upper middle class family, they would not have really cared about financial planning. They would have just went the way, like everything is going fine, so why rock the boat? But now people want to send children to foreign countries for higher education. That is when they realize, oh, it is going to cost me few crores. Do I have that much money? If I spend everything, then what will I do after that? And so on and so forth. So the education cost in tier 1 and now tier 2 cities in India, I think, has resulted in two things. One is population control, and the second is need for financial planning. So these are the two triggers which has happened. I don't think you should wait for that long. The moment you start earning, you should be looking at what to do with that money and not lose the precious 10, 15 years before you actually start to think about what to do with money. So we are taking baby steps. We should not compare ourselves with the US or any developed country. Whatever has happened there will happen to us in few decades time. So it's the start of that revolution that we are seeing. we need to do more such podcasts. A lot of industry people are doing a lot of financial education things now, which is slowly, gradually reaching the right places. The average age of my client would be 50 plus when I started. Now, even a 23-year-old person is asking me about how to manage finances. So that's a good start to see in the industry. I hope it continues and we have formal education about financial planning even in school and colleges. Whether you do engineering, whether you do MBBS, whether you do anything, I think you should be taught about finance. Engineering colleges are teaching economics and finance today, but for employability, not for, again, the financial planning part. So it will happen, I am sure. Maybe the pace can be improved upon, but we know our country, so it will take time.
No, Harish, I want to jump in here. So I'm now empaneled with SEBI as the SMART, and we are also working with NISM for the Puna Puna Shiksha program. We just concluded a session for an engineering institute, and it is so challenging. Number one, to tell the administration that it matters, then to execute it, and all they want at the end of it is ki hame isme kya milega, and it is so difficult to explain to them that it is a life skill. What you're learning right now, the results of it will probably show a few years from now. But I've done for close to 15 institutes now. Our focus is engineering institutes across UP and NCR. And it is so demanding. I couldn't agree more with you. I think the need of the hour is that we start even younger for school level kids. But because no one really talked about, and you're right, because the parents probably started when they were above 50, they don't realize that, the significance of doing it early. I started when I was 28, and I keep telling these young kids who are a part of the team now, that the reason that you learn right now is so that when you start earning, you're already go on, what you should do, and not trying to learn at that point in time. So thank you so much for highlighting the significance of that.
Also, if I may add one more point here in terms of generational shift, which has been observed in India, or for that matter, any country, I would presume. If you go a couple of generations above all of us, I mean, I don't know, the audience obviously are of different generations, but let's say I'm 50-year-old and I'm in 1970s, for example. There is no concept of retirement planning at that point in time because it was all about having more children, especially the obsession about a male child that we used to have. Why would you have 6 children? And you would see a lot of houses where there are 5 girls and the 6th one is a boy. That's the retirement plan. So one of the kids will take care of them at the end of their earning life. And it was right from mythological stories to a lot of upbringing stories. We have been taught that taking care of parents is an extremely important part of being a child. Now, I'm not saying we should not, but there are a lot of times when we cannot, especially as the cost of education, etc., is going up. Even double income households are struggling to take care of dependent parents and dependent children. And if you are unfortunate enough, there could be a couple of other dependents also. It's not possible now as it was, let's say, 15, 20 years back, where we did not spend too much time on which school is good and all that. But now I'm sure any parents would understand the struggle of getting a child educated as such. So what used to be my son and daughter, to be honest, it was more of my son, will take care of me at my retirement, is changing because, again, like many other things, westernization is happening. There are cases where children are not taking care of parents either willfully or they are not able to. So the younger generation parents understand that they cannot be dependent on the children. So the call of retirement planning is coming when they are in 30s and 40s, as compared to maybe 50 years back when that call would never come in their mind as to what is retirement planning. बेटे का घर होगा मैं उधर रहूंगा, as simple as that. What is the planning needed for that? But that again is shifting because now the retirement planning thing is a big thing. Many of my clients come to me in 40s with only one goal: will I retire peacefully? And that calculation itself is complicated. Not many know how to do it. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Neha. It is needed right from as early as whatever is the basic level.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Also, like the pension aspect, in earlier times, a lot of people used to have pensions, but like now with the push over privatization, so that is, that creates a void. So you have to sort of look for areas to compensate for that at a later time. Okay, so that was an amazing thing what you said. The next question is what's next on the cards for Edzone Capital and so the new investment arm that we've been hearing a lot about.
So Edzone Capital is a group company of mine, and it has a lot of different things that we do, including trainings, education about markets and planning. We have an investment arm where we put money into startups. We also invest in various financial products as a part of our proprietary portfolio. So whatever money I have been able to save over a period of time, I wouldn't want to invest in real estate and gold after talking so much about financial assets to everybody. So all my money is into various financial assets within India, outside India. So we want Edzone Capital to have a global investment arm now. So we are looking to set up an office in Dubai, which will invest into other products. From India, there are some products which you cannot access because of certain regulations. So you want to look into that is what we're looking at. We are also in the financial planning and wealth management space going a little more aggressive. All these years, as I said, the struggle was to convince a client to pay. Now, gradually, the education is happening about RIA. The concept of direct plan in mutual fund has done a good job, as I said. So people ask, what is a direct plan? So the next logical point is there is a concept called Registered Investment Advisor. So now we are more confident that we will be getting enough paying clients to build a business out of it, a sustainable business. So we have started recently a new arm called House of Alpha. House of Alpha is a pure wealth management business that will be on a direct fee basis. And I have tied up with a couple of very senior financial planners in the industry who has been practicing for more than 15, 16 years. I'm a big believer of teamwork. If you collaborate with the right people, you can achieve a lot more than what you can do individually if you're trying. So I as a financial planner, I'm converting my SEBI license into a corporate RIA license. And then I have tied up with Bhuvna Sriram, who's a very known person in the Mumbai financial planning circles. We want to take this in a digital way because otherwise we cannot reach the nooks and corners of India. It's a big country. So we are doing a digital wealth management thing where everything will be streamlined and automated to a large extent. Financial plans cannot be standardized. It is very customized. Yet a lot of steps towards that in terms of data collection, in terms of the questions to ask the client, the risk profiling, the suitability analysis, all that can be done digitally, including the signatures and compliance part. So we are doing that. We have created a technology team for that in-house. So that's the work we are doing on the Edzone Capital wealth management side. On the startup side, there has been a lot of interest in startups now. What was real estate investment maybe 25 years back is now the startup era. So I think we are just at the cusp of the next 20-25 years where startup investing will become a household thing. It will not be only limited to rich people who can invest in startups. Every household will be able to get into startups. It's going to happen very soon. There'll be more angel funds that will come up and take smaller amounts from investors like a mutual fund. And that's going to happen. So the Zomato IPO has really given an impetus to a lot of startups. And that is where we are also focusing on. We don't want to be late into that cycle because that's right into our expert zone, which is investing and understanding businesses. So that's what we are doing. Nothing else is on the cards as of now.
On a concluding note, I just wanted to ask you that, is there a book or a quote that resonates with you the most when it comes to financial planning?
There are a couple of books which I have been influenced by when I was in my early stages, as well as off late when I started realizing more about managing money. At the early stage, which I recommend to everybody, and I have been gifting it. It's been so often that people know that if I'm gifting it will be that book, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a book which talks about passive income. It's a book which talks about how you cannot rely only on one income if you want to create a sustainable financial future. It's talking about retirement planning right from day one. It talks about how investing in businesses or starting businesses is a wonderful way of creating wealth rather than just working hard and continuously being in employment. So from being work hard kind of a concept, now it's about work smart and invest also smartly. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was a very big influence on me initially. Once I became more serious on the financial planning side. I keep reading about techniques and tools to manage cash flows, to educate investors about why retirement planning is important. People don't realize the concept of how inflation will eat into their portfolio in the future. I ask many investors or even audiences when I do financial planning session, what do you think India's inflation will be for you going forward? They will say 5 to 6%. But if you actually sit down and do a calculation of your own cash flows, you'll realize that your expenses are actually growing at the rate of 20-25% and not 5 to 6%. People don't understand the concept of lifestyle inflation. So today, if you are earning less, you would be very happy to, let's say, go to a holiday which is in, let's say, Shimla, for example. In 5 years, if you're earning much more, you wouldn't want to go to Shimla. That's now not class, right? You would say, I want to go to Switzerland. I want to go to Vegas. And then you see a movie where they have shown, let's say, Spain. So you want to do a Spain trip. You want to do everything that they do in that movie. So yes, your income is growing, but your aspirations are also high. Loans are easily accessible, and there is a fear of missing out that's happening. Because of Facebook, because of Instagram, there's a lot of comparable studies you can do about where to go for vacation. What was vacation during our childhood time was visit to our grandparents. Now there are 3 vacations that's happening. So lifestyle inflation, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but are you accounting for all these things when you are spending? And what do you think is one of the future of this in your retirement kitty? All these things people are not aware of. They say inflation is 5%. They know future value formula. They think they understand financial planning. I think that has to be kind of educated again that no, this is not it. So there is a wonderful book which I have been rereading called Enough. That book is just called Enough. It's an amazing book on concept of will you die with just about the right amount of money you want to die with. Everybody will die. It's a bad concept in India to talk about death. I don't know why. One fine day I sat with my parents and said, Mom, Dad, I have taken life insurance. The documents are kept in my drawer. If something happens to me, please see it. They just scolded me. They're like, what nonsense? Why are you talking about death? Apshagun kyun baat kar rahe ho? Arey, this is important. What? There are people who die in India, again due to COVID also it has happened, and their family members are clueless about what is their finances. Where is the insurance? What investment are we talking about? They're struggling. So when you start to educate all these things, you want to talk about death, you want to talk about uncertainties. So Enough is a wonderful book that you will have, which talks about the concept of a beautiful bucket of wealth you have, a lot of inflows, a lot of outflows, how to optimize it, how to ensure that you die with not a lot of shortage because you want to die peacefully, and not with a lot of excess also. Because if you leave a lot of excesses, it creates a lot of problems also in many cases. Dhirubhai Ambani is a classic case of a brilliant wealth creator who died what is called intestate without having a will. What happened to the children? They fought. So family managed businesses, which is a backbone of India's economy, doesn't realize the concept of succession planning. It's a part of financial planning. So these are things which gradually some of us are able to understand, but India is a large country. A good proportion of Indians need to understand this and adopt it. Enough is a book which I would recommend to everybody who wants to know about how to look at the concept of money when you are living. It's a beautiful book that I would recommend. So yeah, these are the 2 books which I can think of right away. So yeah, that's it.
So whatever you said was really thought-provoking, and it is something we need to ponder upon. And I'm sure it will give our viewers a very great insight into. So there's a question in the chat box which Gaurav asked. So do you think post-COVID there has been a paradigm shift in the finance industry?
In the finance industry, as in the financial planning world, yes, people have started realizing that their cash flows were not in place. The need for insurance has gone up a lot. People are starting to worry about the concept of whether I have enough income to take care of my emergency expenses. The concept of emergency fund has come into picture. People have realized that they don't have emergency funds in many cases. So yes, COVID pandemic caught a lot of us unprepared on our finances. Many lost jobs, which means their only source of income, and they had no planning of what happens if your job is lost. So yes, they're starting to think about these things now. Ideally, you should not have a bad situation to make you think about all these things. But I think that's how human mind is, right? There was a beautiful poem or a prose, I don't remember, in my school days called Pulley, Pulley. It said, God gives you grief because it makes you do the right things only then. When everything is going fine, you never question or never do the right things and alter your lifestyle. So COVID, yes, has made people think a lot about finances. Are they having enough? How to create an alternative income? So has it resulted in more clients for us? Yes, it's one of those industry where bad things give us more revenue, unfortunately or fortunately. It's like a medical profession, right? I mean, if things are good and everybody is happy, there is no income. So this is, yes, has been a big catalyst for thinking about financial planning. Are they going to forget about it very soon is also my fear, looking at the mall culture again and the spending that is happening again. So maybe some of them will learn the lessons. Some of them will need another pulley for that.
Okay, sir, that was really amazing, and it probably gave us a lot of thoughts, to ponder upon. And it was great having you. On
My pleasure.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you so much. And,
Thank you so much, Harish, for your time, for these words of wisdom which don't come with 1 or 2 years of experience. There's a lot of background work that has sort of funneled down and brought us to those amazing books and the concept of Pulley. I really appreciate it, but I couldn't agree more with you, with regards to the loan dispensing and those kind of things that are happening. And I personally feel a lot of people are in impending debt traps. So let's hope that, the right kind of financial knowledge can help these people, and these four young college students who've joined us, they can go and spread the word around even after they, finish that. This is how you should do it. These are the right people to reach out to, and, we can make better financial decisions. But once again, we're 5 minutes over, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did as well.
Absolutely, Neha. It was wonderful to speak to young minds about finance, which is an important concept. I urge all parents and all seniors to educate their youngsters about it once you have understood also about what should be done. Thank you so much, Neha, and everybody else.